Hello students, welcome again in our online session of Haloalkanes and Haloarenes part 7. In previous session, we have discussed about nucleophilic substitution reaction. In that, we have seen in detail about SN2 reaction, that is bimolecular reaction. Now in this session, we'll study in detail about SN1 reaction, that is nucleophilic substitution 1 unimolecular reaction, right? Nucleophilic substitution reaction, that is SN1, is known as unimolecular reaction, right? Unimolecular means it depends only on one type of reactant, so it is mentioned as SN1. Previously we have seen in SN2 it is bimolecular because it depends on both reactants, that is our alkyl halide and nucleophile, while in this SN1 reaction it depends only on alkyl halide. It did not depend on nucleophile, so it is mentioned as SN1 reaction, right? Here it is mentioned that one our functional group, that is alkyl group and L functional group, both are linked together. This is our substrate, where L is our leaving functional group and R can be any of the alkyl group, that is known as substrate, or on which the reaction is happening. So in step 1, this substrate undergoes heterolytic fission, and this L will receive the electrons and will be negatively charged ion or anion, that is named as leaving group, leaving functional group, and respectively this alkyl group will gain positive charge. It produces carbocation. So here in first step there is heterolytic fission, and this R gains positive charge, it produces carbocation, and this ligand or any leaving group or this functional group L will produce negatively charged anion. That is first step. Now in second step, our nucleophile, it can be either halogen, it can be OH minus, NH2 minus, Br minus, any of the nucleophile will bind on this alkyl group and it will produce sigma bond, and it produces substituted product, right? So this product is obtained in second step. So after first step, the second step can happen, because if the cation is not produced, then this nucleophile cannot easily bind on this R group, and you can see here the reaction is reversible, means again this leaving group can bind with R group to produce our substrate again, and again it can also undergo dissociation or electrolytic fission to produce cation and anion. So the reaction depends on this first step, how much quantity of cations are produced or carbocations are produced, that much cations can react with our nucleophile, and that much amount of product can be produced. So it fully depends on this first step, and even this step is slow step. We are saying the slow step is rate determining, right? It determines the rate of reaction. So here it is mentioned as SN1 reaction. It depends on only on this starting material, that is alkyl halide. It can be any of the alkyl halide, alkyl bromide or alkyl iodide. So it is unimolecular reaction. It is mentioned here that SN1 reaction, mostly they are carried out in presence of polar and protic solvents like water, alcohol and acetic acid. If you remember in our previous session, we have discussed about solvents for SN2 reaction, and SN2 was carried out in presence of aprotic solvents, means those solvents which do not release H plus or proton, they are aprotic solvents. So in that SN2 was carried out, while here you can see that SN1 reaction is carried out in presence of polar and protic solvents like water, alcohol and acetic acid. While previously we have seen in SN2 it was carried out in presence of non-polar solvents like petroleum ether, dichloromethane and benzene. Such type of non-polar solvents were used in SN2 reaction, while in SN1 these are some polar solvents, so that is one of the major difference. Here one example is given: 2-bromo 2-methyl propane, that is tertiary compound, it is tertiary butyl bromide, which reacts with OH minus. This OH displaces this bromine and it binds on this carbon atom to produce tertiary butyl alcohol. You can see this tertiary butyl bromide, this compound will react with hydroxide ion, negatively charged hydroxide ion, and it produces this 2-methyl propane 2-ol, or you can name it as tertiary butyl bromide, and this follows SN1 mechanism. You can see the bromine is released as bromide ion, Br negatively charged. Same way here also it is mentioned in 2 steps. You can see the first step is slower, as we have discussed previously that this leaving group, again this step must be reversible in nature, forward as well as reverse reaction can be happening during this process. It is slower step, so that is mentioned as rate determining step, while second step, binding of or attack of nucleophile on carbocation is faster, right? So this step is not rate determining, only the first step is mentioned as rate determining step, as well as it is also first order chemical reaction, or you can say first order kinetics. You can see here it is mentioned that it occurs in 2 steps. In step 1, the polarized carbon and bromine bond will take place, and slowly the bromine is converted into bromide ion and produces carbocation. And later on in step 2, this carbocation will, it gets attacked by this hydroxide ion, and this hydroxyl group binds on this carbon atom to produce this tertiary butyl alcohol. So it occurs in 2 steps, step 1 and step 2. Step 1 is reversible, slow, as well as this is rate determining step, while step 2 is faster and it do not determines the rate of reaction. Here it is nicely mentioned in the form of 3D molecular structures. You can see we are trying to displace this leaving group. This brown colored atom is our leaving group. Either it can be bromine, bromide, either it can be chlorine, either any of the leaving group. And here our nucleophile can be hydroxide ion, OH minus, Cl minus, any of these nucleophile is attacking on this carbon atom. So you can see first step, this molecule, this bond gets detached right from here, and this part, this functional group is converted into negatively charged anion, and this is our central carbon atom. This carbon is converted to carbocation, right? And even this nucleophile can attack from either side. You can see the p orbital is shown here empty orbital because the electrons of the bonded, they are taken by this brown colored sphere, which would be our leaving group. It leaves with the electrons, so this p orbital is empty and this nucleophile can attack from either side. So we can get two types of products. First, with 50% inversion, means inverted product as compared to the initial. You can see this is opposite to the initial product, so 50% can be inversion of configuration, and or either 50% can be retention of the configuration, means originally it remains same as the original structure, that is retention means no change. So in the basis of that, you can say that 50% inversion might be taking place, means the product can be inverted as compared to original one, and 50% product can be retention configuration, means the isomer which is existing before will be as similar as in the end of the reaction, means both are identical, right? Only there is change of this functional group, it is displacing by our nucleophile, right? So 50-50 possibilities are taking place in this SN1 mechanism, right? And one more thing, if you have noticed here that in SN reaction, previously we have seen in SN1 and SN2. In SN2, mostly the reaction are happening with primary alkyl halides, while you can see here in SN2, in SN1 mechanism, in SN1 mostly we are selecting compound which is tertiary carbon. You can see tertiary butyl bromide. This compound has tertiary carbon, so relatively this reaction is more effective with tertiary, because we know that tertiary carbocation is more stable than primary. So you can conclude that in SN1 reaction, selectively tertiary alkyl halides they undergo SN1, while primary they undergo selectively SN2 mechanism. So that is one of the major difference. You can see it is nicely mentioned here that as we are going towards tertiary halide, right, it favors SN1 mechanism, and as we are going towards primary alkyl halide or methyl halide, it follows SN2 mechanism. So simultaneously this nucleophilic substitution can be SN1 or SN2. That pathway is decided by the type of alkyl halide which is present, right? Primary and this methyl halides they favor SN2, while tertiary favors SN1 mechanism, and secondary can either undergo both SN2 as well as SN1, and that selectively depends upon the type of leaving group as well as on the basis of nature of solvents which we are selecting. Likewise, we have discussed that protic solvents, polar protic solvents are selectively for SN1, while non-polar non-protic solvents are selectively for SN2 mechanism. So this secondary, eitherwise it can go both of these mechanisms, right? Here you can see it is mentioned that as we go on towards tertiary, the cation tertiary is more stable. You can see three methyl groups on the central carbon is tertiary carbocation is very much more stable, right, due to inductive effect of these methyl groups. Same way secondary is slightly less stable, right, and primary that is least stable because only one group is there, and last is methyl functional group. So you can see the increasing order is going towards primary to secondary to tertiary. The tertiary is very much stable, and this will selectively undergo SN1 mechanism, while the primary and methyl cation they will selectively undergo SN2 mechanism, right? As we have discussed right now that protic solvents and polar protic solvents are necessary, which favors SN1 mechanism. So greater is the polarity, it is more easier to form carbocations, right? So during this step 1, there is formation of carbocation. So the polar and protic solvents can easily produce carbocations. You can see either you can use acetic acid, right? Ethanol, methanol, formic acid, carboxylic acids, as well as water. So as you are increasing the polarity, the rate of SN1 mechanism would be more favorable, right? Here you can see it shows that the SN2 mechanism which we have discussed previously, it depends on both alkyl halide as well as nucleophile. You can see it is depending raised to the power 1, means depends on both. So overall it is second order reaction, right, as it depends on alkyl halide as well as it depends on nucleophile. So this SN2 mechanism is second order reaction, or it follows second order kinetics, while this SN1 reaction, it only depends on alkyl halide, means the rate of formation of carbocation. The first step of this SN1, that is formation of carbocation. So it depends only on alkyl halide. You can see it is raised to 1. So it is first order reaction, or it follows first order chemical kinetics. Some of the important points are mentioned here, and how the reaction is preferred. It depends on type of nucleophile, it depends on type of haloalkane selected, depends on type of leaving group, means which is removed from our alkyl halide, and also depends on the type of the solvents. And here it shows that SN1 reaction is governed by electronic factors, means formation of carbocation intermediates, and relatively it is more faster with tertiary, and it goes on decreasing towards primary and methyl. Just now we have discussed this. Same way SN2, it governs by steric factors. We have studied in our previous session about steric hindrance. The primary and methyl, they have smaller groups, so they have lower steric hindrance. So the rate of reaction of SN2 is more faster with primary as well as methylated haloalkanes, right? So the relative, it is a ease of approach of nucleophile to the site of the reaction. So there is a lower steric hindrance which favors SN2 mechanism, right? Again, here also it shows some of the differences between SN2 and SN1. SN2 is selectively for primary as well as methyl halides, while SN1 is selectively for tertiary. Same way in SN2 we require strong nucleophile, while in SN1 weak nucleophile may also be utilized, may also be used as a solvent, right? Here in SN2 we are using polar but aprotic solvents, right? Aprotic means which do not release H plus, while in SN1 we are using polar protic solvents. Even you can use silver salts in this reaction. Here SN2, it depends on both or alkyl halide as well as nucleophile, so it is second order, while here SN1 depends only on alkyl halide, so it is first order. Similarly, here there is inversion that we have discussed in previous session about Walden's inversion, right? We also seen the example inversion of umbrella, that is Walden's inversion is taking place here, while here there is racemization. Now I'll discuss here what is racemic mixture just now. Racemic mixture means we are getting two different products. One is dextrorotatory, another is levorotatory, or you can say two different isomers are produced in equal proportion, 50% levorotatory isomer and 50% dextrorotatory. It is known as racemic mixture, and the process of formation of racemic mixture is known as racemization, right? So that is taking place in SN1 reaction. Here there is no rearrangement in SN2, while here there is rearrangement of products in SN1. That is the difference mentioned here. Here there is some summary of SN1 and SN2. In the form of differences, you can mention that SN2 is favored for methyl while SN1 does not favor for methyl because methyl cation is unstable, which we have seen just now. Same way for primary, SN2 is favored, right? While SN1 does not occur because the primary carbocations are unstable, right? Same way secondary is favored for both, but typically we require two things. One is type of leaving group and nature of solvent. So here it is mentioned that aprotic solvents with good nucleophiles will follow this SN2 mechanism with secondary, while if you are using protic solvents and poor nucleophiles, then it might follow SN1 reaction, that is selectively for secondary, while tertiary SN2 does not undergo because we know that there is steric hindrance or larger groups, they will not allow the nucleophile to bind with this carbon, right? So tertiary SN2 is not seen, while SN1 is favored for tertiary because as we know tertiary carbocations are more stable, so it is favorable with tertiary alkyl halides. Here inversion of configuration takes place, that is Walden's inversion occurs, while here there is racemization, means 50-50% both isomers are generated in this SN1 mechanism, right? So you can see these are some of the important differences between SN2 and SN1 reaction. Here we'll discuss what is stereochemical aspects of this nucleophilic reaction, means what is inversion, what is racemization. Again we'll discuss over here. We have seen in the differences previously that SN2 there is inversion of the geometrical configuration, while in SN1 there is racemization. So we'll see what is this retention, what is inversion, and what is racemization over here. You can see there is one compound, one alkyl halide, and there is one X halogen atom present here, and we are trying to add Y atom which substitutes this X atom. Right, this Y will try to substitute this X functional group, means X is displaced by Y. So here you can see on right hand side in this reaction where the X is present, on the same position this Y is also present, means the Y is bonding on this central carbon in the same direction where the X is present. So this is mentioned as retention. This A structure is originally retenting the previous structure, means they both are identical, so this part is named as retention. A is retention, right? While in this second case the Y is inverting this total functional group, this total alkyl groups, they are on the opposite direction. So this Y is now performing inversion in this step. So the B product is inverted product while the A product is retented product, right? In A the original configuration, original isomerism is similar in A as well as in starting material, while here in the this step the B product is inverted product as compared to the starting material, or you can say the isomerism of B is different or opposite as compared to A, or that is starting material. And third possibility is either you can get both A as well as B in 50-50% contribution, and that is mentioned as racemization, right? So here it is retention A, this B is inversion, right? While this A plus B mixture of both products in equal proportion is known as racemization, right? Here also it is mentioned that A is the only compound obtained in the bridge process is retention of the configuration, means this A has retention of this original configuration. The position of new nucleophile Y is similar to the starting material, while B is the only compound obtained in this process is known as inversion of configuration. So here Y binds on this compound and it produces B. This B structure is inversion of configuration, while third possibility is 50-50% mixture of A and B or equal ratio of production of A plus B, that is known as racemization, and this A plus B mixture is known as racemic mixture, and this mixture might not be optically active. This mixture is optically inactive because suppose A is your starting material is optically active, it produces A as well as B and both are optically active. A is dextrorotatory while B is levorotatory. So the mixture of both dextro and levorotatory will produce racemic mixture, and overall this mixture is optically inactive, means it do not show optical activity. That is one specific part for this racemic mixture, and this will rotate the plane polarized light in opposite direction of each other, so they will cancel their optical effects, right? So this is in detailed description about SN1 mechanism, right? So you can remember all these important points of SN1 as well as SN2 reaction. Even the difference between SN1 and SN2 reaction is important, right? So next we'll study some more important reactions of haloalkanes and haloarenes like elimination reaction, beta elimination, right? That we'll study in our next online session, right? So thank you all of you for joining this online session, right? Thank you all of you. Have a nice day.